Let's talk about the architecture of Super Mario Bros. Could you call this game the godfather of a genre? How does playing Super Mario Bros. Change the way that you see your world? Now, this is not a strategy or a walkthrough or a history, but a discussion about what architectural thinking can tell us about video games and vice versa. Hi, I'm Scav. Welcome to the Extra Office, a channel where we talk about architecture by talking about the architecture of everything else. Now today, I want to talk about architecture in video games, specifically Super Mario Bros. Obviously incredibly popular, the Mario franchise is the highest selling franchise in video game history. Super Mario Bros. By itself is the 5th highest selling game of all time, with over 40 million hard copies sold. In video gaming terms, a game where you jump from platform to platform in a 2D space is called a platformer, but for our purposes, we're going to call it a section. The first thing we do when we play a video game is we try to project our sense of self onto the character that we're trying to become. We do this, in this case, by becoming Mario. This is Mario's first solo game. He was the protagonist in the original Donkey Kong arcade, where he was known as Jumpman, but he is now his own story. So there's no customization of the character, probably due to limitations at the time, but because there was no customization available, early video games had to depend on the story of the hero to get us to project our sense of self and our empathy into the character. So in this case, of course, a classic hero story, we need to save a princess from a kidnapping by an evil Bowser. Of course, once our self is in the game as Mario, let's talk about the environment around Mario. We begin in World 1-1, and World 1-1 is the stuff of legend. World 1-1 is actually a masterpiece of pedagogical apparatus. That's a fancy word for a teaching tool, which shows you mechanics and lets you teach yourself the mechanics. Think of the wax-on, wax-off teaching method. You play 1-1 thinking you're already just playing the game, but really it's slowly and gently introducing all of the game mechanics to you. And game designer Shigeru Miyamoto designed this first level to do exactly that. But what's so important here also is to note that we're in worlds. World 1, World 2, World 3. These are already kind of the cat's out of the bag here, people. Calling these things worlds confirms for us that that's what's really going on here, right? Early 2D games had to decide what dimension. As games like Doom were 2D in plan, Super Mario Bros. And Keen were 2D in section. Plans and sections are sort of abstract ways that architects draw things in order to organize material and reorder space in different ways. The notion of what a section is can be kind of difficult to understand because it's an impossible abstracted view, but if you know Mario, you already know what a section is, and you know how it works. For this game in 1987, there was no world map, so all of the world building and imagination comes from these individual levels, these literal drawings. There wasn't a where are we overall, which is kind of scary when you're playing because you don't know how long it goes, and you don't know there's 8 worlds until you get through 4 of them, and you're like, when's this gonna end? What I love about the menu system is that it counts things as currency that you experience in the game, like coins and Marios. The game really keeps your attention on the mechanics. So let's talk about the mood. It's like the cutest game ever. So the bad guys are like adorable, and we just sort of bop them on the head and they fall. There's no blood, no one's sad, right? The bad guys are like turtles, you know, like it's super, super cute. And that, I think, is a crucial way of understanding how this game works. But we'll get into that a little later. But that's the mood. The mood is cute. And the only thing that isn't cute is Bowser. Even though it's cute, however, it's still a super frustrating game to play. Aside from getting a little bit bigger and getting fireballs, there's actually very little augmentation. We get big, which means just we get 1 extra life. but everything in Mario is like a one-hit kill for Mario. Now, the repeating castle level is a phenomenal sudden twist on your experience of the game, because suddenly you're faced with a very horrifying experience of a castle that doesn't end, and you eventually run out of time. The repeating castle level actually kind of reminds me of an experience you can have at Villa Rotunda in a work by Palladio, where you can go in one entrance and go out the back and turn around and you're at the front again, and you can go back in and take a left and you leave and then you're still at the front. It's all four faces are the exact same. So conceptually, that's a never-ending or the repeating villa. This sort of never-ending repetition of space makes us a little more thankful for space we do understand. The castle levels also remind me of the Frank Lloyd Wright's textile blockhouses. Now, how does the architecture influence the strategy? Well, the strategic potential of the game is rather limited. I mean, you're trying to get through stuff, and you jump and run, and you jump over things and smush things, but the strategic potential of the speedrunning aspect of Mario is very intense, and in that way, it's a very rewarding and deep experience. The character of Mario has actually surpassed the actual game mechanics, and Mario is now available in all types of games like Mario Tennis. But the game mechanic of a platformer or a sectional game is actually like contemporary cousins to fighting games and things like Super Smash Brothers. Now, the water environment is a great example of ways in which sort of mini environments can start to alter the way our abilities work, and I like how the water levels put us almost more like just a fish, and suddenly a lot of our other abilities, like our ability to jump on things, is much more limited. Experiencing any kind of limitation of our own abilities and limiting our own means of access suddenly reframes what we can access normally. So how did playing Super Mario Brothers change the way that you see the world today? When you're in a mundane, and when you're having a sort of mundane experience in the normal world, you can sort of say to yourself, well, at least I'm wanted back in Super Mario Brothers land, right? At least I'm needed. At least the princess needs me, right? At least someone out there needs me, and I'm excited to be able to help them. All video games can be thought of as aesthetic experiences. And when I say aesthetic, I'm not just talking about the images that you see. I'm talking about the sounds and all of these sort of immersive ideas, the story, etc., that bring you into the game. Everything in this diagram are aesthetic experiences, and those experiences reframe our own world. The most important part of Super Mario Brothers and the franchise it spawned is the idea of the cute. The cute is the category of aesthetic experience, which can umbrella everything from Mario to Tamagotchi and up to Animal Crossing today. According to Cien and Guy in her incredible book called Our Aesthetic Categories, the Zany, the Cute, and the Interesting, the cute is an aesthetic disclosing the surprisingly wide spectrum of feelings ranging from tenderness to aggression that we harbor toward ostensibly subordinate and unthreatening commodities. Wow. For Super Mario Brothers, the cute does a few things. One is that it desensitizes us to the violence of the game, but also it sort of exploits our inner maternal instinct, which our maternal instinct is to take care of things that are cute. We start to form a kind of empathy, not just with the character, but with the cuteness of the whole world. And that world is something we want to protect. The cute is what reminds us that somewhere out there is a world that we're supposed to be taking care of. So when we're at our job washing dishes, we're actually kind of thinking about how we just want to get home and rescue the princess. I think is one of the things that made the game so successful and still culturally relevant today. We're gonna have to unpack the cute a little bit more in video games. Maybe that'll be its own video. Thanks for listening. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe to get more videos like this. Comment down below with what game you think I should review next, and come find me on Patreon to join a Discord chat and add your voice to this discussion.